They lied to your face. Every single week, you sat in a chair, tuned into Raw, watched those masked men beat down two of the most powerful forces in WWE history, and the people running this company laughed at you. They laughed at your confusion. They laughed at your theories. They laughed at every Reddit thread, every comment section, every fan who genuinely thought they were being respected as an audience. Well, guess what? Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins just wiped the smile off everybody's face, and the name behind it all? The name that was pulling the strings this entire time? You are not going to believe it. And when I tell you who sent those masked attackers, I need you to drop everything you are doing right now, because this is the kind of moment that changes the entire landscape of WWE. This is the kind of revelation that rewrites the past 6 months of storylines in one single Raw segment. And if you are not subscribed to Ring Rumble 1 yet, what are you even doing? Hit that button right now, because this channel is the only place breaking this down the right way. Let's get into it. Segment 1: Setting the stage. To understand how massive this unmasking was, you need to go back, way back. Because this didn't start last Monday. This didn't start last month. The seeds of this betrayal were planted long before most of you even noticed something was wrong. Think about the first attack. It was subtle. Almost too subtle. A group of masked figures, no logos, no branding, no clear affiliation, descending on Roman Reigns after a championship segment. At the time, WWE played it off like a random act of chaos. Commentators stumbled over their words. Officials looked confused on camera. And the audience was supposed to just accept the mystery and move on. But Roman Reigns doesn't get attacked randomly. Let me say that louder for the people in the back. Roman Reigns does not get attacked randomly. This man is the tribal chief. This man restructured the entire power dynamic of WWE. This man turned Paul Heyman into a loyal advocate and made the Bloodline the most dominant faction in modern wrestling history. You don't just send masked goons after Roman Reigns without a reason. You don't just greenlight that kind of operation without serious power, serious money, and serious motive. And yet, week after week, WWE wanted us to believe nobody knew anything. Nobody saw anything. Nobody had answers. Seth Rollins, meanwhile, was catching his own share of the violence. And this is where it gets interesting, because Seth and Roman are not exactly best friends. These two men have one of the most complicated, most layered histories in all of professional wrestling. They've been allies, enemies, rivals, and everything in between. The fact that both of them were being targeted by the same group? That wasn't a coincidence. That was a message. Somebody wanted both of them neutralized. Somebody needed both Roman and Seth out of the picture, and that tells you everything about how much power the person behind this actually has. Segment 2: The clues WWE hoped you missed. Here's where I need to give credit to the Ring Rumble 1 community, because you were the ones catching these details before anybody else. The first clue was the footwear. I know that sounds ridiculous, but one of the masked attackers during the third assault on Seth Rollins was wearing ring boots with a very specific lacing pattern. A pattern that only a handful of active WWE roster members use. We flagged it in our community Discord. We talked about it in the comments. And WWE quietly edited the replay on Peacock 3 days later. If that doesn't tell you they knew exactly what they were doing, I don't know what does. The second clue was the timing. Every single attack happened within 48 hours of a major contract negotiation or backstage power meeting. That's not fan speculation, that's a documented pattern. Every time someone in WWE's corporate structure had a closed-door conversation about authority, about roster decisions, about who gets pushed and who gets buried, those masked attackers showed up. Like clockwork. The third clue, and this one should have been obvious in hindsight, was who was conspicuously absent during the attacks. Every time those masked figures hit the ring, the cameras would cut to a very specific group of locker room reactions. And there was always one person missing from those reaction shots. Always one person who couldn't be found on camera. Always one person who, when interviewed later, gave answers that were just a little too polished. Just a little too rehearsed. Just a little too calm for someone who claimed to have no idea what was happening. Segment 3: What happened on Raw. Monday Night Raw. The arena is electric. Roman Reigns walks out, no music at first, just presence, just the absolute suffocating gravity of the tribal chief filling every inch of that building. The crowd doesn't know what's coming. The commentary team is already nervous. You can hear it. Seth Rollins emerges from the other side of the stage. And the audience loses their minds, because these two men being in the same segment, facing the same direction, with the same look of cold, calculated fury in their eyes, that is cinematic. That is storytelling at its absolute peak. They don't say a word to each other at first. They don't have to. Then Roman grabs the microphone and he does what Roman Reigns does better than anyone alive in professional wrestling. He speaks slowly. He speaks with weight. Every single word landing like a hammer on an anvil. He says they know. He says they've always known. He says the only reason the person responsible hasn't been called out yet is because Roman Reigns doesn't move until he's ready to move. And he's ready. Seth Rollins takes the microphone next, and this is where the segment shifts gears completely. Because Seth is not slow and methodical like Roman. Seth is a live wire. Seth is voltage and fire and controlled chaos. And when Seth Rollins is this focused, this locked in, without the jokes and the showmanship, you know it's real. You know whatever is about to happen is going to cut deep. Seth lays it all out. He names the dates of every attack. He names the locations. He names the details that were never reported. Details that only someone with direct knowledge could know. And then he starts connecting the dots out loud, in the middle of the ring, with 20,000 people watching, and you could hear the entire arena shift from excitement to absolute stunned silence. Because the picture Seth was painting wasn't just about the attacks. It was about control. It was about someone who has been systematically trying to dismantle everything Roman Reigns built, everything Seth Rollins represents, and everything the Bloodline's lingering presence still means in this company. And then the moment. Security brings them out. The masked figures. Right there, on the Raw stage, in front of the entire world. And Roman Reigns doesn't even flinch. He just nods. Like he knew this was always going to end exactly like this. Seth walks up first, grabs the mask, pulls it off, and the arena erupts. Segment for the reveal and why it changes everything. The identities of those attackers sent shockwaves through the entire WWE universe because these weren't nobodies. These weren't NXT call UPS used as sacrificial lambs. These were established names. Names with history. Names with loyalty that had apparently been quietly redirected, repurchased, and weaponized against the very people they once stood beside. But here's the thing. The attackers were never the real story. The real story is who sent them. And when Roman Reigns looks directly into the camera, not at the attackers, not at Seth Rollins, but straight down the barrel of that lens, straight into your living room, and he says the name out loud, the betrayal hits differently. Because this wasn't some outsider looking to make a name. This wasn't a random act of corporate sabotage from someone with nothing to lose. This was deeply personal. This was calculated over a long period of time by someone who had access, who had trust, and who used both of those things as weapons. The person who sent those masked attackers against Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins had been hiding in plain sight, smiling in photos, shaking hands at press events, cutting promos about honor and respect while simultaneously orchestrating one of the most elaborate behind-the-scenes power grabs in recent WWE memory. And the motive? Once you understand the motive, everything clicks into place. This wasn't about a championship. It wasn't about a WrestleMania moment or a top-of-the-card spot. This was about dismantling the vision. The overarching philosophical framework that Roman Reigns has used to consolidate power, demand respect, and redefine what it means to be the guy in WWE. Somebody didn't just want to beat Roman Reigns. Somebody wanted to erase what Roman Reigns stands for. And to do that, they also had to neutralize Seth Rollins because Seth, for all his chaos, represents the unpredictable element that can never be fully controlled. Together, Roman and Seth are an immovable force. Separately, they could potentially be picked apart. That was the plan. And it almost worked. Segment 5: The Fallout and what comes next. Here's what nobody is talking about yet, and this is why you need to watch this video to the end, share it right now, and send it to every wrestling fan you know. This unmasking isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of the most dangerous chapter. Because the person behind this is still employed by WWE. They're still in that locker room. They still have allies who don't even know yet that their leader has been exposed. And when those allies find out, when that domino falls, the eruption we saw on Raw is going to look like a minor tremor compared to what's coming. Roman Reigns now has a name. And Roman Reigns with a name is the most terrifying force in professional wrestling. He doesn't act impulsively. He doesn't waste moves. He waits. He plans. He strikes with precision, and when Roman Reigns strikes, he makes sure the target never recovers. Seth Rollins, on the other hand, is already in war mode. Seth doesn't wait. Seth attacks. Seth burns it all down and figures out the aftermath later. And watching how these two completely opposite personalities navigate this revenge arc together, that is going to be must-see television for months. The real question, the question I want you to answer in the comments right now, is whether this betrayal runs deeper than what was revealed on Raw. Because I have information, I have sources, and I have my own theory about a secondary layer to this conspiracy that Roman and Seth might not even be fully aware of yet. Drop your theories below. Who do you think is really pulling the strings at the top? Is this bigger than one person? Is there a faction forming that we haven't seen yet? Is this connected to the broader power struggles happening behind the scenes in WWE right now? I read every single comment on this channel. Every one. And the best theory in this comment section is going to get its own dedicated video this week. Closing call to action. Ring Rumble 1 has been ahead of this story since day one. We flagged the clues. We tracked the pattern. We told you something massive was coming and it delivered. If you're new here, subscribe right now. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a breakdown like this. We go deeper than anybody else. We don't chase clicks. We don't post hot takes for the algorithm. We do the work and then we bring it to you. If you've been here, you already know. Share this video. Not because I'm asking, but because your wrestling friends need this information. They need the full picture. And this video gives them that. The war has officially started on Raw. Roman Reigns knows the name. Seth Rollins is already loading. And the person responsible? Their time is running out. This is Ring Rumble 1, and we are just getting started.